All right. We're getting updates from the mission control teams. The hold that you observe on your screens was due to a hold raised by the navigation team.
Vehicle directed to launch
Where
control. Please do the needful pre-exercises to reinitiate ALS and confirm your readiness.
and
Copy.
we've gotten confirmation that we will be starting ALS shortly. So please stay tuned. So we had a planned hold, and we've just heard um, from the mission teams below that we are ready to restart the automatic launch sequence shortly. And just to recap once again, Vikram 1 is on the launch pad. It's ready and eagerly awaiting its first test flight. We've had the initiation of the automatic launch sequence, and through that we've completed the internal power switchover, which means the vehicle is now powering itself using its own batteries. We've also had the null checks been completed, and we're now waiting for the next window to come about for the ALS to restart.
So now that we know that the ALS is on hold and soon we'll be back with a new time and the restart of ALS, let's talk about the entire journey of Vikram 1, the mission sequence. Now we know that first 100 seconds of the flight, the stage 1 will power the rocket to the denser layers of the atmosphere, and exactly at an altitude of 53 kilometers at 103 seconds, the stage 1 burnout will happen and the stage separation will initiate. And after that, the stage 2 will ignite and it will power the rocket through the thinner layers of the atmosphere while keeping the same level of acceleration. That is the point. And later on in the stage 2, during the stage 2 burn duration, later half, you have the payload fairing and it separates, and this is the first time when the payload or the satellite is exposed to the atmosphere or to the space, the higher layers of atmosphere, which is exactly nearly close to space.
Yeah.
Having protected the satellite throughout the ascent, that the fairing's job is done.
Yeah, that's right, Akhil. And you mentioned that the PLF, or the payload fairing, is the portion that essentially protects the satellite from the difficulties of the environment that the rocket goes through. The question then becomes, how do we separate all our stages, right? So we use something which is very unique, and we're very proud of that. In-house to Skyroot, we have the separation teams which have developed a pneumatic ultra-low shock mechanism. And the whole goal of this mechanism is it relays very little shock to the payload itself. So the payloads usually carry very sensitive electronics and instruments. So if you have a shock event come about, it may damage some of the sensitive instruments. So that's why we specifically made it a point to develop this pneumatic ultra low shock separation mechanism.
Like, for the knowledge of our viewers, I would also like to reiterate, most typical rockets, they use pyrocords, which use explosive charge to shear out the bolts and separate or jettison the entire stage, which could be catastrophic for some sensitive payloads. That is very costly and could be like, you might lose some data from the satellite and affect its workability.
Control here, go ahead.
Definitely.
Still external hold mode is coming.
Right.
Noted.
Now, even after the payload fairing has separated,
launch
the job isn't done yet, right? The climb is still going on. Stage 3 steps in and it generates quite a large amount of thrust to essentially power the vehicle into orbit. It keeps pushing it to near orbital velocities. And then comes something different, like we talked about earlier. We have the orbital adjustment module that kicks in. And this is the stage that I got to work on very, very closely. Like I mentioned earlier, it was a team of very ingenious, multidisciplinary members. We had teams from systems, propulsion, dynamics, quality, safety, reliability,
I will note it.
CFD design. I mean, you cannot count these fields on the fingers of your hand, and they all had to work in unison to
Control to all ground
build
stations.
this
All
stage.
ground stations to
And
note.
then once it
Revised
starts
T0
working,
is
it
at
will precisely
12:05:30
place
hours
all
IST.
of these satellites into its intended orbit. And you might feel like all of this is happening. There's so many things happening, right? But it's just 16 minutes. That's all it takes.
It's
15
so
minus 20
fast,
minutes.
but it seems really long. Like it took us like 1 hour from the entire bus stand to reach Sriharikota. But as Suyash pointed out, so it's such a we can say the entire rocket engineering, the complexity. Looking at the complexity of it, it's like an entire opera house. You have to be like a soprano. You have to be so perfect. Every system, every individual, and every component should be in tune to engage all the systems at the right moment so that we can have even a small ignition. And now we have Avikram 1, which has close to 1,000 subsystems, and almost two-thirds of it will be utilized just even at liftoff. That's really fascinating.
So we've gotten confirmation, and you might see